What's up, guys? This is Coach Grant with First Down Training, and welcome to another episode of our First Down Training show. Today, all we are going to be doing is a football Q&A. So we're going to be answering 10 different questions that you guys have asked from older videos that we have posted. So I hope this is able to give you guys some value. Thanks for tuning in. So normally on our shows, we'll cover like a topic, we'll talk about something, go over some current events, and then for like maybe the last like 5 to 10 minutes, we'll answer 3 questions that you guys left on previous episodes. But you guys have been so great at supporting the channel and supporting the new style of videos that we're doing, and you guys post a ton of questions, so we wanted to do a video just purely dedicated to your guys' questions. So hope this is able to help out. And guys, if you have more questions, we'd like to do this more often because we love engaging with you directly one-on-one. So guys, if you have questions, anything you want to ask me, anything at all, feel free, guys, post it in the comment section below of this video. We seriously really appreciate the support, and we enjoy you guys watching. So let's get into the first question, you guys. So question number 1 from Chum KB7TR. Hey coach, I'm an upcoming freshman looking to play QB this upcoming year. My coach said the most important thing is being a leader, and I was wondering if you had any tips on how to be a great leader. He also said that upcoming freshmen should work on 40 times in bench presses. I was hoping you have some drills to help me prepare for these drills. Thank you very much. Yeah, so when it comes to leadership, dude, I would say at the quarterback position, there's really 2 things that you want to focus on, or I guess you say one thing, but there's 2 types of leaders, right? So there's a leader who's something called the thermostat leader, and then there's a leader who's called the thermometer leader, right? And I think the second one, the thermometer leader, really actually isn't a leader. This is what you want to avoid, right? So think about what each one of those does. Thermostat sets the temperature of the room. Thermometer tells you what temperature the room is. So you're not going to be a leader if you go into an environment, especially as a freshman, and you're just kind of trying to blend in, trying to see what everybody else is doing. Like, guys, we don't want to do that. You want to set the tone. And how you set the tone, you don't necessarily need to be a vocal guy to be a leader. You know, I was kind of a combination of both. I was a pretty vocal guy. I was never like the, Michael Jordan type leader where I was bagging on dudes like, hey, get your, F and what together, like cussing at guys, like telling me. I was never that guy. I was always more so of a positive dude, like, hey, like you screwed up here, like, hey, let's try to figure this out, figure that out. But I never expected things out of my teammates that I wasn't willing to do myself, right? So that means leading from the front. That means having a solid work ethic, showing up to every workout, getting after in the gym, especially as a quarterback. They think of you as like you're not really an athlete, you're just a quarterback, right? So you need to make sure that you're getting after in the gym, conditioning, on the field, your plays. You take care of all those things so they can look at you and be like, okay, Grant's got his stuff together. Like, if he tells me to do something, like, I don't want to let him down. Like, he puts in the work. So you don't necessarily need to be a vocal guy. You just need to lead from the front, and that shows up with what you do every day as a player. Now, when it comes to, I believe you asked about like 40-yard dash, yeah, like 40 time in bench press. Bench press as a quarterback, wouldn't worry about it. Your coach may have said that's important, but that's probably one of the worst things you could do as a quarterback for your shoulder, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. That's not going to hinder your play time, at least it shouldn't. 40 time, if you're a freshman quarterback, I would say like a 5 flat or below is probably a good spot for you to be at. Now, dude, if you want like speed drills to work on your 40, if you just go to our channel, we have a playlist called Speed/Strength, and we have tons of speed and agility workouts there that will help you out, okay? So appreciate you asking that, man. Thanks for the support of the channel. Next question from Jamal I9D. What's the number one thing that separates a good starting quarterback from a backup quarterback, and why are they on the bench when the starting quarterback is on the field? I mean, really, it just comes down to execution. I mean, I think like when it comes to being a quarterback, your goal is to put the team in the best position to win possible, and so like to win, right? So if you're a QB who can like execute and you're putting the team in a good position to win, like for example, when you're in, the team is doing better, receivers are doing better, linemen are doing better, running back is doing his job. Everything flows smoother when you're in versus the other guy. There's a lot of mistakes, you're missing throws, you're not executing your job. That's really what it comes down to. Now, to be able to execute, you need obviously great accuracy. You got to be able to read a defense. You need good arm strength. You need to have a high football IQ. You got to know your playbook. But it's just who's going to put the team in the best position to win, because the quarterback position is ultimately the most important position on the field, okay? So I appreciate you asking that, man. Thank you for the support of the page. Next question from Chicken Nuggets with Passion. I've really had trouble with the ball bouncing off my hands, and this definitely fixed it. Do you have any drills for over-the-shoulder catching as well? So I would assume this is a comment from like a video we posted on like bullet passes. So when it comes to over-the-shoulder catching, a great drill you can do, guys, what's the best way to get better at over-the-shoulder catching? coaching, it's repetition, right? So if you have a quarterback working on fade throws, corner routes, touch balls over the shoulder, like that type of stuff is obviously the best thing you could do. But I'm aware that not everybody has a quarterback that could throw to them, 3 times a week, 4 times a week if you're not in season and actually in practice. So an easy drill that I have my receivers do is you stand, or you could sit, you could kneel, whatever, depending on the size of the wall that you're working with. But you get a wall just like the one behind me here. You get 2 tennis balls. What you do is you look forward with your eyes, take this tennis ball, toss it over the top of your head. When you hear it hit the wall, you look up and you track it and catch it in the same hand that you tossed it with. Now, if you're a right-hander, your left hand may not be good with the toss, so I would recommend doing maybe 20 to 30 reps on the right hand, 20 to 30 reps on the left hand. You could toss with your right hand each time, but keep your eyes forward. When you hear it, it's that reaction to having to track it over your head. So, hope that makes sense, dude. Appreciate you asking that. Now, next question from Cut to the Chase TV. You guys have asked a few questions. I really appreciate it. Hey, Coach, my 11-year-old son is a big fan of yours. I appreciate that. Can you make a video about where a quarterback front foot should be pointing when throwing? I hear some people say your toes need to be pointing directly at the target, and I hear also people say it doesn't, but your opinion on it is who we really need to hear. Thanks. Yeah, so appreciate you asking, man. Thank you guys so much for the support, you and your son. That really means a lot. I love helping out youth quarterbacks. Obviously, it's one of my favorite kind of position groups to work with. And so when it comes to the front foot as a quarterback, there's really me personally, my front stride is a lot like Tom Brady. So like if the camera right here is the target, I'm stepping just directly to the right of the target. I'm not opening my toes directly. I'm stepping just to the right. I feel like that's a more stable position for my front foot. Some people have a different opinion. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I feel like that's a more stable position for my front foot when I step just to the right. And I'm still able to rotate my hips because I have pretty decent hip rotation because I have good hip mobility and obviously repetition. And it kind of keeps you more stable and more balanced when you do that. Sometimes when guys open up the toe directly to the target, when they rotate, that foot kind of skids out at times, and that may not be the best course of action. Now, some of you watching this may be like, well, my quarterback coach tells me to step off the midline, where you step to the left and you do kind of open up your toes to the quarterback. I think that's fine too as well. Just the problem I see a lot of guys do when they step off of the midline, so like the camera's the target and they step to the left of it if they're a right-hander. The problem I see is that a lot of times guys take a really big step, and when they're throwing off of drops, they tend to open up and then their front foot takes a while to get down. That's kind of the same thing as an overstride. We obviously don't want a long front stride as a quarterback because of timing. As a QB, if I'm facing you like this and I'm about to throw, when my front foot gets down, I want my shoulders to be back. That's the timing of your throwing sequence, right? But if you do the same thing with your upper body, but your foot takes a while to get down and the foot hits and you're open, you kind of push the ball and you lose power. So it's more so about front foot timing. So if you step open slightly, that's okay. Make sure it's quick. Me personally, I step just slightly to the right of the target so my foot's down fast and I feel it's more stable. So I appreciate you asking that question, man. Thank you guys so much for the support. Now, next question from Pro Leopard X1. A question for you, Coach. I notice when I start my session of throwing, I feel pretty good. After a while, my hand starts to feel dryish or my grip on the football starts to feel weird. Have you heard this before? And if so, do you have any tips? I'm worried to lick my hands because my football lands all over and it might have some dog piss or something since I practice in an apartment yard. Yeah, man. I mean, I think that's fair. Me personally, I'm a finger lick guy. Probably not the most sanitary thing to do, but one thing that will help you, because I struggle with dry hands to this day. My hands are insanely dry, especially when I'm at a training session and it's dry weather and I'm licking my fingers. But something that helped me out a lot as a player that I did was I had a towel, like a QB throwing towel in front of me, and I would dampen the towel. So I just pour a little bit of water on the bottom of the towel for some moisture. And then what I would do is I would wipe my hands with the towel, wipe it off on my pants, and then that would help. So that helped a lot with grip, just to add some extra moisture. Some people might say that might dry out your hands a little bit even more so. If you just continuously do it with the towel, then you'll be just fine. But that's what I would say if you're worried about licking your fingers and you're worried about germs, okay? Now, fellas, before we get into these next 5 questions, if you're a QB or wide receiver watching this and you would like a custom-made workout plan designed by myself, check out that very first link in the description below for our new custom workout plan service. Essentially how it goes is you guys sign up for the service and then you would send me film of yourself, whether that's practice clips. We obviously include instructions when you sign up of like, hey, we want to look for this, we want this, and this on your film, or you could could send me your game film if you have that. That's totally fine. But what I'll do is give you like a 10, 15 minute long breakdown of like, okay, this is where you need to improve, this is where you need to improve, this is bad, this is good, etc. Then we will construct an 8-week custom-made workout plan for you to follow with on-field drills for 8 weeks and gym workouts for 8 weeks. We include a video example of each drill. We give you the exact sets and reps, and it's completely tailored to you. So guys, if you're interested in that, you want to improve your skills this year, go to that very first link in the description below. Seriously, hope that is able to help you out. Now, let's get to these next 5 questions, you guys. So next question from Josiah V9E. I have a question. How long should I train for per day? Like how many hours or how many minutes? So this is a question I love answering. It's not about the amount of time you spend training. It's about what you are getting done. So me personally, like let's talk about my sessions, right? The sessions I train with quarterbacks, like from a business perspective, like I felt like a lot of other quarterback trainers were only doing 1 hour sessions, or receiver training is 1 hour sessions. So I'm like, all right, let's do an hour and a half. Now, in that hour and a half, we're constantly working, right? So I feel like that gives my players the edge. Now, if you don't necessarily have a trainer and you're like, hey, I want to work out today, like I wouldn't be like, okay, I got to be at the field for an hour. It would be like, hey, this is what I have to get done. I want each rep to be as perfect as I can. I want good repetitions. I want to get better. I have some intent with my workout, and you might be out there for 40, 45 minutes, but it's a good 40 to 45 minutes. Like I remember in high school, I used to hate working out with my receivers. You got to do it sometimes, but we'd be out there for 3 hours because you know how it is. Like, you know, you guys get the music playing, you're on your phones, you're joking around, those are some of your best friends, right? So maybe it's not the most productive session as always it could be, right? So I would say, I mean, if you're working out 4 to 5 times a week, like let's say on the field, and you're getting an hour in, 45, you know, I think that's totally plenty. But it's more so about being productive during the workout than the amount of time you spend during the workout, okay? So I hope that makes sense, man. Thank you for asking that. Next question from Trevor Maccabee, OY5KK. Hey, coach, how do you think I could make my freshman football team? I've been going to all their workouts, but I've never played tackle. How do you think I could prepare for the learning curve? I do play lacrosse, so I know contact and know how to run with equipment. Yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, like, I think what you got to go in with is, like, it brings me back to how I just answered that last question. You got to go in with intent. When you're at practice, you need to understand that if it's your first time playing tackle, you're a little bit behind the kids that have been playing tackle for a while. No problem. I was one of those guys that didn't play tackle football till my freshman year. I didn't have any lacrosse experience, so I was very, very green to tackle football. It's not as big of a learning curve as you think, but you just need to have intent with each practice. I am here to learn. I'm not worried about anybody else. I'm not worried about what anybody else is doing. I am at practice to learn, okay, I need to get better here, I need to get better here, I need to get better here, and then you take that and you run with it. Okay, next practice, I'm going to improve in these areas so I can move on to the next level, and the next level, and the next level after that. Now, also what I will say is, like, you know, training with a helmet and pads on is probably something that you should start doing. I know you said you're used to gear, you're used to contact, but football gear, I would assume, is a little bit different than lacrosse gear. It's a little bit heavier, weighs you down. So even if you just go to like Dick's Sporting Goods and get a cheap pair of pads and a cheap like helmet, doesn't need to be top of the line. And maybe when you play in the season, you want something a little bit more, you know, like safer, if you will. But you can get some shut bucket, if you will, and just train with it. Get used to the gear being on, because that's the worst part. That was kind of the hardest part for me, was like, man, like, dude, I feel slow. I'm not as fast. My throwing motion feels weird. So just get used to that, and I'd say you'd have an easier time, okay? So I hope that makes sense, dude. Appreciate you asking. Next question from Henry150V. Coach, how do you deal with anxiety before games? So if you're talking about anxiety, like nerves, pre-game nerves, there's really 2 things that help me out a lot with that, because I struggled as a player with that. Like, I cared so much about, like, one was I held myself to a really, really high standard, like the highest possible standard, because that's who I trained with as a player. Like, I would train with this quarterback coach who wasn't the most knowledgeable when it came to mechanics, which really kind of screwed me up down the road. But the one thing I liked about his sessions was the IQ element of it. He was a very smart dude. We knew a lot about plays, coverages, stuff like that. But I also liked the type of players that would come out there. There'd be college level players, like NFL level players. You know what I mean? He was a well-connected guy. And so that, like, I saw the bar. I saw the talent bar. So I was always holding myself to that standard, right? And when you put all this pressure on yourself and you work so hard, you're going to have some nerves. You're going to be a little bit nervous, you know, because you want to perform and you want to win, right? And so nerves are totally normal. But I got a piece of advice from a coach that helped me out tremendously. This was my high school quarterback coach, and he played in college, so he'd known a few things, and he told me, he's like, 2 things. Number 1, just do your 1/11th. because I was good at my job, right? I was good at playing quarterback. I was good at what I could do. I knew how to execute. I knew what I needed to do week in and week out. I was prepared. And if you're prepared, if you've done the work, don't worry about the external. That's usually where anxiety comes in. You worry about, will the line block? Will the receiver run the right route? How good is that? No, just focus on your job. So as a quarterback, my job, accurate pass, make the right read. If it was a handoff, perfect action, so like good hand technique, give the ball to the running back, go the right way, obviously, and then carry out my fake. And so every play, just do my 111th, just do my 111th. And when you hyper focus on your 111th, there's 11 guys on a football field, that's why we say that, and all 11 have to do their job for a successful play. And that was just like, that really narrowed my focus, and the nerves and anxiety was still kind of there, but it went away tremendously. Now, another thing I focused on was just next play mentality. So whether the result is good or bad, I mean, because what are nerves from? You're afraid to screw up because you're like, damn, like if I screw up here, it's going to hurt the team. If I screw up here, maybe I'm just, not likely to get an offer. Whatever your anxieties or worries or fears are, only you know what those are. That's the great thing about anxiety, is it's a conversation you have daily with yourself, right? But I was just like, you know what? Whether it's a good or bad result, I'm on to the next play. Because it's like you don't want to be on this roller coaster of emotions. You don't want to be super, super high because you're like, man, I did good. And then you have a bad play and a setback, and then you're super, super low. Your emotions need to be even keel, next play. Next play. It's okay to get excited. It's okay to get mad, but on to the next play. And if you focus on your 111th and the next play, I think that anxiety and nerves will fade, okay? So I appreciate you asking that, man. Hope that was able to give you some value and help you out with that situation. Next question here, you guys, from T. Kim Deep. Or take them deep. I like that. Coach, I got a question. What exercise should I do for my chest as a quarterback? So like we talked about earlier, bench press, worst exercise you can do. If you have to do bench press, go very, very light. Do not lift with your ego. Don't try to force yourself. I've seen a lot of guys injure their shoulders because of that. If you can do dumbbells instead. But if you can avoid bench, I would avoid bench. The most important thing about your upper body as a quarterback, like yes, you got to put on size in some elements, but you need mobility because you need to be able to go back with the ball. You need to be able to come like a little bit higher with your elbows, so you can't be super buffed out and lose range of motion. I've seen a lot of quarterbacks, guys, and the guys who are like super buffed out here don't have much range of motion. You want to be loose. So I recommend push-ups are great. Band resistance exercise, so like band resistance push-ups, maybe like pause push-ups where you explode up, reverse grip push-ups. Anything body weight is great because I feel you could still keep your range of motion, or band resistance. Those are the most important things you should do as a quarterback for your chest, okay? So I hope that answers your question, man. Thank you for asking that. All right, from Luca, Road to D1. Thank you, Coach. Are there any things you recommend to do if you struggle with consistency? Consistency. That is the whole purpose of everything that we do. So think about, why do you train? You train so you can be consistent. Think about this from a player perspective, right? Let's say you started going to a private trainer. Why did you go to that private trainer? To improve your skills. Why do you need good skills? Because you want to play. How you're going to be able to play is you're consistently better than the competition you were working with. Right? So consistency comes from repetition. I see a lot of quarterbacks, like a lot of guys, fellas, and I'm just trying to be real with you, and I'm just trying to be honest with you. Like this is filmed in June, right? During the month of July, I will get more business, if you want to call it, clients, athletes that come to me and want to do training sessions and cram it in those last 3 weeks before August football starts, when they're right into the thick of it now, full pads. That's not enough time. That's just gonna be real with you, because and some guys I just tell them, like, guys, like, we can't, like, you can learn a little something, you can get a little better, but you're not gonna get tremendously better. I try to always be honest. But the guys that come to me in December, January, and they're like, hey, I want to start training, they come to me. I coach them up. I tell them what they're doing poorly, give them drills to improve those areas, and then they come back the next week and they're better. Come back the next week and they're better, because they're working on their own time. So repetition, repping out the areas that you're not good in, that will improve consistency, because that's why you want to improve your skills. Being a better player will make you more consistent. So repetition is what will make you a more consistent athlete, and that goes really honestly for any sport. So hope that answers your question, bro. All right, you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Seriously, if you guys have questions, stuff you want to ask me, be featured on our next episode. I personally personally would like to do this Q&A like maybe once a week if you guys enjoyed it. So you could let me know, give me some feedback in the comment section below. And guys, if you want to have your questions featured or you just have questions for me in general, I read and respond to every single question on our YouTube channel. Guys, post your questions in the comment section below. We really, really appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys next time.